Hey everybody, welcome to the studio, Windows to Heaven Art. So glad you're here. This is the place where we talk all about how to improve our own personal style as artists, and where I share a lot of my own tips and tricks with you guys that I've picked up over the years. So in this short video, it's not going to be anything super fancy, but I just wanted to let you guys in on my own studio here and kind of give you the rundown of basically how it is and how it works and how I have it set up. So we're going to get into basically the necessities of what makes up a good studio, and that might be for hobby painters as well as painters who want to sell their work as well. And I would say the main things are a good light source, an easel setup, a place to clean brushes, and number 4, convenience. So we're going to look at my studio in regards to those 4 things. Let's get into it. So in the wintertime, I bring my studio indoors because the place where I normally have it, in the detached garage, which it works out great for spring, summer, and autumn, but in the winter it gets a little too cold out there. So I bring everything downstairs into this one room where I kind of have everything all compacted together that I need for a fully functional, smooth running studio. I got my sink right over there where I wash out my brushes after I'm done oil painting or painting with acrylics, and that's really nice to have there. I have my easel set up actually right in front of me here. You can see that I have a painting that I have just finished in oils that I still have to sign. And then right above it, I have my light, and I got a shelf right here to my left where I can have all of my things that I need, like my paints, my brushes, my shop towels and everything. And over on this wall by the sink, I have a nice arrangement of shelves and cupboards for all of my paints and different supplies that I use for painting. And then of course, right over here in the corner, I have my desk set up where I can look at reference photos, set up my laptop, and do some work on there. And a good idea to have ventilation when you're using oil paints, because there's some different things that you use along with oil paints, like turpentine, that's not good to breathe in a non-ventilated area. So just cracking a window in the room is a good idea when you're painting with oils. Okay, let's get into the light situation. So when you're painting, that is probably the most important thing I would say, is what kind of light you have to paint by. And so we're going to go over a few basic things to keep in mind when you are selecting a light for your studio. So the main things that you want to look at when choosing the right light for your studio is number 1, brightness, which is usually measured in lumens, and light appearance, which is going to be on a spectrum from warm light to cool light. A few things can go wrong when you have the wrong lighting when you're painting. And that is, for instance, if you have too bright of a light, when you're painting it, you will automatically compensate for the bright light and paint your picture more dull, so that when you take it out of that lighting and maybe hang it on the wall by a window, it will look really dull because the light has changed and you painted it under a really intense bright light. And the opposite, of course, is true for that as well. If you have barely any light at all, you're going to compensate for that by painting your picture to look really bright, so that when you take it out of that lighting and hang it up, it will look way different than what you were intending it to look like, just way too bright. And then also, when you have a light that is too warm in its appearance, you're going to compensate for the warmth in your light by painting your picture to look more cool. And it might look something more like this, when in actuality you intended it to look something more like this. And then of course, the converse of that is true as well. If you have a really cool light, you're going to compensate for that by painting with way too warm of colors, so that when you take your painting out of that light and hang it up in natural lighting or something like that, it's going to look way different than you were intending it to look. So the way that we can avoid running into this problem is choosing a light that is a nice balance somewhere in the middle. Now, I think it is probably better to have your light just a little bit on the dull side, so that your painting will have just a little bit of a nice bright pop to it, And then also choosing a light that is just slightly on the cool side so that you can get just slightly a nice warm pop to your painting. So that's the sweet spot that you want for your lighting. And another thing that I want to inform you guys about, which is really immensely beneficial to my painting, specifically with oil paints, is shop towels. These babies are really, really nice to use because they're made for mechanics stuff usually. They really soak up the oil paint out of your brush really well, and it really helps when you want to reload your brush to just use these shop towels to get the majority of that paint off of there. Because shop towels, you know, they're made for messy, oily mechanic hands. So yeah, that's a basic overview of my humble studio. Just goes to show you that you don't need to put in a lot of major expenses to have something that works really smooth and efficiently when it comes to painting. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out my art shop where I have a lot of my paintings for sale in prints. Until next time, God bless you guys. We'll see you later.